Hello, and welcome to Own Your Retirement. My name is Albert Lalonde from Kaizen Financial Inc. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 586-752-7008 or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialinc.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen. And while on my website, click on our podcast page to check out our past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. All right. Today, we're digging into a topic that's core to everyone's financial confidence: retirement planning. Now, retirement can feel like a distant ideal for some and a source of stress for others. But the truth is this: we believe a solid retirement plan isn't just about saving money. It's about working towards making sure the life you envision later on actually becomes your reality. So, helping us break down the importance of a retirement planning, my friend and co-host, Tony Shore. How we doing, buddy? Happy New Year. How are you, sir?
Oh, Albert, I am doing great. I had a great week. You and I got to hang out at a financial conference this past week, last week actually, and it was so much fun down in Scottsdale. And it's where you got a few hundred. I think there were over 500 people there.
Yes.
Some of the top advisors in the country, and you were acknowledged there and spent some time on stage. That was great. Congratulations, everybody picking your brain on how you help your clients. Yeah.
Sure.
And all the changes that are happening because of different legislation and changes in the way you help plan because of rising healthcare costs. I mean, a lot was addressed at the conference, and I know that you go to that one. It's a big one every year, the Gradient Summit. So that was fun seeing you there, getting to hang out. I think you won once again. You won best dressed. You usually do. Usually they have a theme night and you go all out. I love it.
Do.
Yeah. And your clients and our viewers know that. You're a sharp dressed man. So that's good. That's always fun. I got a kick out of that. I always do. And, it's always good to see you down there.
You as well, sir. You as well. The weather wasn't bad as well down in the South. So, everything was good, and what a good time, and rubbing elbows with other colleagues in my industry, and just, like I said, learning and sharing things. So that's the key on that. So now I'm ready to share it here with folks and understand what the importance of financial planning here.
Yeah. This is a good topic. I mean, 5 pillars for retirement. These are the basics that you start with. So where do you want to begin, right?
All right. Well, the piece we're focusing on today is from a Kiplinger article that's titled "The 5 Pillars of Retirement Planning from a Financial Planner." And it highlights the key areas you want to have covered, so you're not just hoping things will work out, but strategically planning for the retirement you actually want.
Exactly. I mean, 5 pillars, it sounds like we're building a financial fortress or something. I like it. So this is more than just telling our listeners out there to start saving. It's about covering all the bases so you can work toward living that retirement you picture, hitting those retirement goals instead of just wondering, am I going to run out of money? Am I going to have enough? Right?
Yeah. And that's the heart of this conversation, actually, from taxes and investment to income planning, healthcare considerations, and even estate planning. When you think of retirement like, let's say, a house, these 5 pillars are the foundation that keeps everything stable, Tony.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's really good. And we'll take each one of these one at a time so our listeners can walk away with some real steps. So I'm excited to get into it.
Okay, so I'm excited as well. So let's start with this first pillar, which is tax planning, and why it matters so much as you build toward retirement. Now, taxes, in my experience, are one of the most overlooked and potentially most expensive parts of retirement planning. And for many retirees, taxes end up being one of their single largest expenses. And that's especially true for people who did a great job saving over the years in, let's say, tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and traditional IRAs.
Yeah, I think that always surprises people. They think, hey, I've saved well, I've done the right thing.
Right.
And then they don't realize how much that money still hasn't been taxed yet. right?
Bingo, yes. And those accounts are incredibly helpful while you're working, but once you're retired and taking withdrawals, the tax picture can change quickly. And yet, for how big of an impact taxes can have, they're often not talked about nearly enough in retirement conversations.
And why do you think that is? I mean, if it's such a major expense, you'd think it would be front and center, right?
Yeah, but I think part of it is that taxes feel complicated, and part of it is that they're very personal because everyone's situation is different. But this is an area our firm takes very, very seriously because we believe thoughtful tax planning can make a difference. It's not how much you make in retirement that matters, it's what you can spend in retirement. And in many cases, simply being more tax aware and understanding how the tax code actually applies to your situation can potentially result in tax savings over the course of retirement. And that's money you get to keep and use instead of sending it out the door.
So this isn't about doing anything extreme or complicated. It's about being intentional.
That's exactly right. It's about planning ahead, understanding where your retirement income will come from, and knowing how different sources of income may be taxed differently. The goal isn't to eliminate taxes because that's not unrealistic. The goal is to minimize unnecessary surprises is the key.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for someone listening right now, what's the right question they need to ask themselves when it comes to taxes and retirement then?
Yeah, a good place to start is simply this. Have I thought about how taxes will affect my retirement income, not just this year, but over time? Now, from there, we can start talking about what steps might, help ensure taxes are planned for appropriately. When we talk about tax planning, the goal really comes down to one simple idea: working to minimize the amount you pay in taxes over your lifetime. And that's it. That's the objective.
So, and that sounds simple, right? But I'm
Mhm.
guessing this is where things can get more complicated.
You got it. And the way you do that is by understanding the opportunities available to you. The tax code is full of them, but most people aren't aware of what applies to their situation. That's why this area takes intentional planning. Now, we regularly review a wide range of tax saving strategies with our clients, not because everyone should use all of them, but because knowing what's on the table actually helps you make the appropriate decisions.
So, this isn't a one size fits all situation or checklist. It's more about finding the right combination for you.
Correct. And one place where that really shows up is tax preparation itself. Your retirement planning team should include your chosen tax preparer. There's real value in having someone who specializes in tax planning review and then reviewing your return alongside the person filing it. That collaboration often helps identify things that might otherwise be overlooked.
Yeah, that makes sense. Having more than one trained set of eyes on it.
I agree. And another major tax issues for retirees they need to plan for is required minimum distributions or RMDs. This is one of those areas where, yes, the government actually now forces you to act. And then once RMDs begin, you're required to take money out of tax deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks. And for people with larger balances of, let's say, $1 million or more, those withdrawals can significantly increase the taxable income.
And I bet that can create a domino effect then, right?
It can actually. And then higher income push you into a higher tax bracket and then make more of your Social Security taxable and even increase your Medicare premiums. That's why planning for RMDs earlier, not later, can be so important in your plan.
Okay, so what about Roth conversion? You've talked a lot about that before, Albert. That's something I think people probably want to hear about, right?
They do, and for good reasons. A Roth conversion is simply moving money from a tax deferred account into a tax free account. Now, a Roth IRA. Now, it can be a useful strategy, but it requires careful planning. You want to be sure that you're doing it in a way that makes sense for your tax situation, and it doesn't just trigger unnecessary taxes or penalties just to do it. Now, this is definitely not a do it blindly strategy, though.
Yeah, and I know you've talked about it can be a great strategy for a lot of people, though, and I know charitable giving can also play a role in that, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. If charitable giving is part of your values, it's important not to leave potential tax benefits on the table. In fact, depending on your age, strategies like, let's say, qualified charitable distributions or donor advised funds may be worth exploring.
This all sounds like a lot to keep track of, though.
It can be, which is why tax planning relies on more than just intuition. It requires the right software, reports, and analysis tools to model different scenarios before decisions are made. And now, some financial service professionals use tools to run multiple analysis so clients can see how different choices might impact their taxes over time, not just this year.
So the big takeaway here then is that tax planning isn't about reacting, it's about being proactive.
Indeed. In fact, when taxes are planned for thoughtfully, they become a manageable part of retirement, not an unpleasant surprise. And then let's move on to the next pillar, investment planning. And the main question that we ask people who are, let's say, in or close to retirement is a simple one in this section. Are you taking on more risk than you actually need to?
And I'm guessing the answer is often yes.
Most of the time, it is, unfortunately. And retirement is a different phase of your life. You no longer have decades to recover from, let's say, a major market downturn. So we think the way risk shows up in your portfolio needs to be changed.
Yeah. So it's not about swinging for the fences anymore then.
Precisely. And at this stage, it's about protecting what you've worked hard to build while still allowing for reasonable growth. Now, we often say you want a plan, not just a collection of investments. And so if you've saved enough, you don't need massive returns. You just need consistency. And in retirement, it's better to be the turtle than the hare.
Before we keep going today, so you can be the you can be the right person in that race. Slow and steady does win the race. Let our listeners know, Albert, how they can get a hold of you to set up that no charge, no obligation consultation to get a plan in place or get a second opinion on where they're at.
Yeah, folks, you can give us a call at 586-752-7008 or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialinc.com. Kaizen, Kaizen. Making the appointment or consultation is very easy, takes a few minutes, and we do this so we can help you own your retirement, folks. So make sure you take advantage of that.
All right. Well, I think that's great, a great opportunity for our listeners and viewers out there. And one of my biggest takeaways so far today is that slow and steady really does win the race. I think that's a good way to put it. Right?
Yeah, it does. And another important part of that investment planning section is being aware of fees too, though.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, that's the second biggest thing that I do in analysis for most people. And a lot of people, I would say at least 90% of them aren't aware of the fees that they're paying inside all of their investments. And many people are paying more than they realize. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, fees can eat into returns over time. I mean, you're not going to have investments without fees, but you have to know what you've got and make sure you're working with someone who is going to help make those transparent for you and see where you're at and do the wise thing that isn't going to eat into your returns over time.
Right. And being mindful of things like, let's say, expense ratios matter. I mean, we always look closely at what clients are paying and whether those costs are justified with value. Now, minimizing unnecessary fees can be one of the easiest ways, actually, though, to help improve long-term outcomes.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to investing, here's a question a lot of people are asking. A lot of people are asking friends, family, neighbors, Googling. You need to talk to a trusted financial fiduciary, though, about this question. And that is, what about managing investments yourself versus working with a financial professional?
Yeah, you know what? That's a very important consideration. Many individual investors tend to underperform over time and often because of emotional decisions. Now, working with someone who does this every day and who focuses on managing risk and staying disciplined can be incredibly valuable, especially during volatile markets.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
now,
and
go ahead.
that's important.
It is, and that's the difference between doing it yourself and again hiring a financial service professional. For
Yeah.
most folks, a lot of times they say, "Hey, I've got more time in retirement, so I'm going to work on it myself." And then when they start doing that, they tend to find out, "I don't want to spend my retirement looking at the market every day."
Yeah, the facts show, every study shows that you're going to end up earning a lot less over time. You're going to end up buying high and selling low if you do that. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Now let's talk about income planning. When you retire, the paychecks stop, and now it's up to you to create your own paycheck.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest mental shift. It's a complete 180 from your working
Oh
years.
gosh.
You're using your income to create a savings, and you've got that mentality. But in retirement, it completely flips,
Hmm.
and you have to use that savings to create an income. That's a
Yeah. Well,
big mental shift for
Well, you know
retirees.
how most people get if you have to tap into your savings for an emergency or something like that, we all freak out like, oh my gosh, and then we want to get that savings back up.
Yep.
Now imagine we're living the rest of your life, basically, in a sense, touching all your savings for the rest of your life. And that's where your income comes. So that really gets scary for people. And it's also where one of the biggest fears come from. It's running out of money. And
Yeah.
people often ask, how do I turn what I've saved for a lifetime into an income that's going to last the rest of my retirement for however long that is? And then how do I do that while dealing with things like market swings, taxes, inflation, legislative changes, and longevity?
Yeah. Yeah, longevity is important. I mean, you've got to take that into account when
Yes.
you're figuring out what your retirement income will be. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, Albert.
It is. And which is why income planning itself has to be so intentional. Social security decisions are a big piece of this. When you claim how it's taxed and how it fits with other income sources can make a meaningful difference.
So it's not just when you take it, it's how it fits into the overall bigger picture.
Oh my God, big time. That's exactly right. A complete social security analysis helps people understand their options and avoid leaving money on the table. Now, with that, we also have to take another key factor, and that is inflation. So let's say if you need $5,000 a month today, that same lifestyle could cost closer to $10,000 a month in 20 years from now. And then your income plan needs to grow over time without putting you at risk of running out.
Yeah. And you have to consider pensions for those who have them, right?
Yes, pensions, in fact, can be a great benefit, what I call mailbox money.
Yep.
But they come with decisions, things like tax implications, survivor options, and whether to take a lump sum or all deserve careful consideration. So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah. And withdrawals matter too, right?
You got it. Which account you pull from makes a big difference, and when can significantly impact your taxes. And a thoughtful, tax efficient withdrawal strategy can help you keep more of what you save. And now comes healthcare is the other part of this pillar as well, which a lot of people don't even take into account, or why most people decide they want to retire at age 65 because of Medicare. So that's another major pillar, especially as people live longer without necessarily being healthier.
Yeah. I mean, healthcare costs can be and often are one of the biggest expenses and wild cards in retirement, right?
Yes, they can. And understanding Medicare's parts A, B, C, and D is critical once you reach 65. So choosing the right combination of coverage can really help manage costs and avoid those financial surprises.
Yeah, and that's not even talking about long-term care.
Oh
That can be a big
gosh.
concern too,
Oh,
right?
of course. And
Yeah.
and many people have seen family members go through it firsthand. And the key takeaway here isn't fear, it's preparation. There are many ways to plan for the possibility of long-term care, but we believe the most important thing is, well, have a plan in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, and even with Medicare and coverage, there are a lot of out-of-pocket expenses.
And healthcare costs don't stop at premiums. Remember that. Planning for those expenses while still allowing your money to grow, well, that's the important balancing act that you have to figure out.
Yeah. What about people who retire before they turn
Ooh.
65 and are
Mhm.
eligible for Medicare?
Early retirement adds another layer to your plan. If you retire before Medicare eligibility, then you may need private health insurance, which can be very expensive, especially if you want the same coverage that you had from work. And there are also income and tax considerations during those years that may benefit from proactive planning. So you got to be careful on that, but you got to plan ahead. Now, the final pillar that most people don't even tackle, and they wanted to tackle most of their lives, but they get to retirement, and I see this a lot, Tony, and now they want to finally tackle it after raising their family, and that is the estate planning pillar. The purpose planning goes hand in hand with this.
So, what about these are the, I think this area, estate planning, is the one people tend to avoid the most, isn't it?
They do. They
Yeah.
do. And even though it's incredibly important, like I said, everyone over 18, in my opinion, should have a basic documents in place. Things like a will, a powers of attorneys. Trust may also make sense for certain situations for most people as well.
Yeah, and the preparation goes beyond paperwork, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, yes. And preparing for widowhood, man, things like that is critical. One spouse will likely pass first, and it's important that the surviving spouse knows where to turn and has things organized and what to expect. Now, tax status changes alone can significantly increase the survivor's tax burdens too, what we call widow's penalties.
Yeah. And I know you've talked about this before, but beneficiaries matter too, don't they? And this is
Mhm.
important.
Yes, part of your estate planning and tax planning are closely connected when it comes to transferring that wealth efficiently to them.
Yeah. And I know, Albert, you always talk a lot about purpose as well.
Mhm. For me, purpose, having intent, it's big. Retirement isn't just about numbers. It's about what you want this phase of life to look like. And then some people are excellent savers, but struggle to enjoy what they've built. And then others are focused on leaving a legacy. So purpose planning helps align your values with the money that you have to the matters and values that's important to you.
Yeah. Well, I know we've covered a lot of ground today. Taxes, investments, income,
Mhm.
healthcare, estate planning. I can imagine some of our listeners and viewers out there are thinking, hey, this makes sense, but where do I start?
Yeah, and that's a really common reaction, actually, Tony. And retirement planning, folks, involves a lot of moving pieces, and most people don't want or need to become experts in every one of them. That's where working with the financial service professional can be very helpful to get you going.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily about handing everything off. It's more about having a guide, a good
Oh
coach and
gosh,
quarterback, like
yes, I
yourself and
say
your
this all
team.
the time.
Yeah.
I use a boater analogy because I'm a boater, and I basically tell folks what I am is your navigator. I'm going to tell you where the wind's blowing, the rocks, the wake, and how low the water is, but you're the one that's steering the ship,
Yeah.
and an experienced financial service professionals will help people connect the dots. Instead of looking at taxes, investments, and income in isolation, they help you see the whole picture and how decisions in one area can affect the other areas. That coordination is often where people find the most clarity.
Yeah. And I imagine it also helps people avoid feeling overwhelmed
Oof,
too.
definitely. When someone works with the financial service profession, I'm sorry, but the process becomes more structured and you're not trying to solve everything at once and you're not taking emotions and personal matters. You're taking things step by step, prioritizing what matters most, and then focus on decisions that are relevant to your specific situation.
Yeah. And that's important because no two retirements look the same, right?
Right. And you have to remember everyone's goals, resources, and concerns are going to be different. A financial service professional can actually help tailor strategies around things like when to take Social Security, or how to generate income, or how to manage taxes, or even better, how to plan for healthcare costs within the context of the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's huge. And I
Mhm.
think there's also something to be said for having someone like yourself who can challenge your assumptions a little bit.
For sure. Always you want someone to have a soundboard. And one of the benefits of working with a financial service professional is having a second set of eyes. And sometimes that means confirming you're on the right track. Other times it means asking questions you might not think about asking, or maybe pointing out risks you didn't even realize were there.
Yeah. And it's an ongoing, not a one-time conversation, but an ongoing conversation then.
Yeah, and that's an important point you have to remember. Retirement planning isn't something you do once and forget about. Life changes, tax rules changes, markets change. So having an ongoing relationship with your financial service professional means your plan can evolve as your situation evolves.
Yeah. And so working with a financial services professional can help you get some of the answers and have a process and a partner to help get
Yep.
you.
And remember, folks, it's about having someone who can help you make informed decisions and stay focused on your goals, and then help you feel more confident about the path you're in so you can actually focus your time on living that dream.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, Albert, is there anything else you want to add before we go today?
Folks, if you are really concerned about your retirement future, if you don't even have a retirement plan, then give our office a call or visit us at our website at www.kaizenfinancialinc.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen, or give us a call at 586-752-7008. Remember, it is our goal to help everyone so they can own their retirement.
All right. Sounds great. And listeners and viewers, that does it for today's episode of Own Your Retirement with our host, Albert Lalonde.
Take care.